Eden, I want you, being the daughter of Vidal Sassoon, my gosh. I mean, you just have to be bombarded. Tell us, what does it feel like to be the daughter of Vidal Sassoon?
So we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Because as a child, I have to be honest, it was very lonely. As a man who was building an empire and working really hard in an industry that, you all know very well, it's very hard to wear that many hats at once. And so as his child, he did the best he could. And so, which makes me the strong, independent, powerful woman that I am today. So in that loneliness, I found greatness.
Give it up for that, for Eden Sassoon on that.
Brilliant, brilliant.
We appreciate that greatness that you're bringing to the industry right now. Tracey, you're from the Oz, the land of Oz, Australia.
Yes.
And we really embrace and are very fortunate to have you here in America now and sharing what you love to share, which is education. Yet you grew up in the UK. And what's interesting is, I just want to know, how did you get into hairdressing?
Well, I actually had aspirations of being a barrister, not a hairdresser.
Interesting.
And I applied when I was at school to go and do a degree in law and politics. And I followed my heart, to be honest, and woke up one day and went, I want to be a hairdresser. And my careers teacher, my headmaster, everyone basically said to me at the time, you're throwing your life away being a hairdresser. You're too smart to be a hairdresser. They'd be even more determined, and my response very much was, well, no matter what I do, I intend to be successful.
Good for you, Tracey. Yes. It's interesting because a lot of the salons that I go into and I'm teaching, it's interesting the comments I get from the women when they say, I make more money than my husband.
Yeah, baby.
I'm supporting the family. That's right. I love that. All right, Candy, your father. I grew up following your father when I was in beauty school. I mean, I looked at all those Shaw pictures, and it's amazing. So, however, why did you want to become a hairdresser?
Well, it was just a natural progression for me. I mean, my house was always full of Eden's dad and Horst Reckelbacker and Paul Mitchell. And I grew up with so many of these greats. And just listening to the stories, it drew me in to always want to be a hairdresser. I'm dyslexic, and I talk about that in my teachings when I'm in the classroom. And I literally cut hair in the locker room in the 7th grade and trade for math homework. And that is a true story. I was an entrepreneur back then because it was my only way for survival. I never went to college, and I never went to beauty school.
I love that.
I actually apprenticed to learn to be a stylist. In Georgia, you can do that. So I was very lucky to be able to do that. But more importantly, everybody that I saw doing hair was always having fun. And so for me, it was about just wanting to be a member of the fun group.
Good for
and
you.
Art was just something I related to because the books were not.
Well, we really want to thank you and your family, what you've done for this industry and what you continue to do for this industry. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
That's great.
Sonya, I'll never forget being in London, going to Salon International, and watching you on that stage, and I said to myself, I want to do that someday. And now here I have the honor of standing with the great Sonya Dove. Yes, absolutely right.
Be great.
You came from a small town. Hairdressing, how did that influence your future and your dreams?
Well, actually, what's interesting is I always wanted to be a nutritionist, and at school, I failed everything to be a nutritionist, and I actually one of 4 siblings, and my brother and 2 sisters left with like 10 grade A's, and I left with 10 F's, failures.
F is for fantastic.
Now I'm wondering that. And what I realized is, what is it about being a nutritionist that really draws me to that trade? And it was people. So I realized, what else works with people? What industry? And then someone suggested, try going into hairdressing. And that was it. I love people.
Well, we want to thank you so much what you continue to contribute, my dear. We appreciate you so much.
Yes.
Social media has done so much for our industry, and I believe you were really the first that started it in terms of your confessions of a stylist. And I'll never forget watching you travel in that little Volkswagen bus across the country. Great story on that. Tell me, where did it come from in the idea and the concept in doing what you're doing?
Well, really, I just really wanted to share my knowledge with everyone. And being a woman and independent, you know, it's harder. It was a little bit more challenging for me to share that knowledge and move up the ladder with a manufacturer that I was at. So I was never given the chance to really voice my knowledge and my passion. So I said, you know what, I can do it on my own. And I used social media as my leverage to really voice my knowledge and my craft and my passion for educating. So it's really changed my life in a lot of different ways because it's brought up so many different opportunities, like writing my books and my educational programs that I actually have produced myself. So it's changed my life. So
Well, I have to tell you, you've changed a lot of hairdressers' lives out there because I'm sure everyone in this audience has learned something from you as well as I have. Thank you, Jenny
thank
Strebe.
you.